Hello, today is Thursday, September 23rd. I'm Tracy Anderson, and let's talk about some markets. So, as usual, let's go first with beef. So, we talked last week about how ribeyes are really expensive already, pretty early this year. I guess the good news is they aren't moving higher, but they sure aren't moving lower either. So, the rest of the beef complex is moving lower, led by rounds, chucks, and loins. Ground beef is pretty steady. We could see it move lower in the next couple of weeks, but nothing to get excited about. Beef production last week was a robust 660,000 head, well up from the short holiday week of 577,000 head. I think we have a couple more weeks of pricing moving lower, again, except for ribeyes. Now we'll look at pork, and pork is seeing production increases every week, and that is good news. But we're still about 4% below last year, so while inventories are improving, labor challenges will continue to dampen any enthusiasm. Bellies are moving up. Yesterday's close of 171 is up from last week's 163. I do think we'll see more increases over the next few weeks. Butts are moderating a bit, still historically pretty high, but availability is improving. Ribs will continue to be a challenge, and I don't see that changing for a year. A note on African swine fever. Remember a few weeks ago, ASF was detected in the Western Hemisphere for the first time in the Dominican Republic? Not surprising, ASF has now been detected in Haiti. Biosecurity measures have been strengthened to bar pretty much any pork or pork-related product from anywhere in the Caribbean area to enter the mainland. Again, as long as it's contained on one island, we will just keep watch and be aware. Okay, let's look at chicken, and production is flat. Availability and fresh is decent. Pricing is flat, but I do think the next move will be higher. Still don't see any increases in production, so this is, I guess, our new normal. Further processed is very tight, and I don't see that changing. Turkey is also in tight supply, and production is running a good 5% below last year. Turkey breast meat is selling at a premium, but we may have topped out on that, at least for a bit. Now let's look at dairy, and through Thursday's close, barrel is up 10, block is down 7, and butter is down 5. I still don't see this market taking off right now. We might have another dime to go up for butter, but that's really a modest move looking at the holiday baking season. Butter producers have good inventories and they're ready for business. That may change next year with the high grain prices. The dairy herd is being reduced to cope with those higher costs. And finally, grains. The corn harvest is happening. Expected dry weather now works in our favor to keep the fields dry for an efficient harvest. Corn closed down at 545 from last week's spike up to 626. Early estimates show encouraging yields, especially considering the dry growing conditions. Let's not get crazy, but let's hope for a strong crop and thinking we could see the end of $6 corn. Though I don't think we'll be seeing $3 corn anytime soon. On to soy, and this is getting interesting. So the rumors the EPA was going to adjust biofuel quotas have now moved to the market expecting the EPA to make those adjustments. The best estimate I've seen with the lowering of the 2022 biofuel quotas would put about 400 million pounds of soybeans back into availability. I'd suggest buy just what you need, because if this does happen, we should see this market move lower. So we'll keep an eye on that. Okay, with that hopeful news, I'm done. Thanks for listening, and let's do it again next week.